Welcome, everyone. And I've been getting a lot of emails asking me about talking about how to get a business started and what it was like for me when I got started. I kind of feel like I've told the story a lot, which always interests me, but I feel like everybody else has to get really tired of it. Um, and so when I originally put this together, I was thinking, oh, why don't we work on setting up our businesses, deciding the structure, what the visions would be, talk about the different visions you can have for your business, which ways you can go with it. Um, I need a logo, so I wanted to work on logos and colors and that sort of thing for the Home Modification Occupational Therapy Alliance. So, but it was odd because as I started to put this together, I needed a PowerPoint and I pulled up this one. And this one actually talks about, you know, starting a business and how to get paid and where the money comes from. So I guess I'm wondering from all of you, if anyone, I don't know if you want to type it up in the chat or, maybe let me know, are you interested in going over the different types of businesses and how you get paid, what's difficult to get paid, different business models, or do you want to go over, or do you want to get started on, let's talk about business structures such as sole proprietorships versus LLCs versus S corps, different colors, how to choose a color for your business, setting up the logo. Can you email? Yeah, I can email this PowerPoint. That's well, actually, I'm having I can. I will. I'll see if I can put this on the Aim Big website. My issue is this mailing system that I use won't accept these files because they're too large. So I have to mail everything by hand, and that takes a lot of time. So I'll try to post this on, and I'll send out a group email so everybody can see it. I don't know, Ashley, are you on our mailing list? I think you're somewhat new. Okay, Jennifer, business models and marketing, getting paid in structure.
I don't believe I'm on your mailing list. I just joined, I think like 2 days ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't remember seeing you. So what I'll do is we meet the first and third Mondays typically of every month and have business discussions and presenters. So I'll put you on that list and then you'll get an email that says confirm that you want to be on the list.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, business models and marketing and how to get paid and structure. Does anybody else have anything in particular? Because we can go through what's on here of those things and then just sort of take questions or that sort of thing.
Um, the slide you just pointed to and kind of highlighted said OTs and COTAs. I'm very obviously new to this, and I find that it seems to be all directed towards OTs. Are you finding that this is an avenue for COTAs to go into also, given their licensing restrictions with evaluations and everything?
Yeah, I do. In fact, there's quite a few quotas in here. We've had some discussions about how quotas can go into this um, because quotas can't do a home evaluation. So you would have to hire a OT to work for you as a to do the home evaluations. Um, some people get around it by not calling them home evaluations, just calling them home assessments.
Right, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, but I mean, you're still so. Um, I haven't done a lot of research into this, but I know that there are other coders out there doing it. And I feel like, the rules are you can't do an evaluation, but you can still, build a business based, and follow the rules. I mean, it's, more about creativity. And so, you can't do the evaluation, but that doesn't mean you can't go forward and, work with the builders and Louie Mobley is a graphic designer and is really good with SketchUp, so she likes to do the designing itself. There's different things. There's that shouldn't hold you back.
Right. That makes me very excited to hear because I've taken a CAPS course and everything seemed to be directed towards an OT, and it just kind of burst my bubble a little bit to think that there wasn't room for a COTA in this revenue.
Oh, yeah, I think people just say OT and consider it an umbrella
Yeah.
state.
Yeah. Okay.
So, well, I guess how to get OTs to. Okay, I guess we'll go through this real quick. If anybody has any questions, this has some business models in it and it's got some marketing. Um, and we'll just start here. If anybody has questions, let's just make it so it's just interactive and everybody gets what they need. Okay. So Felice just wrote, okay, Felice, we'll get to that because I would love to talk to you about that. So anyway, the way I'll start with a little bit about me. A lot of you already know me. Um, my name's Karen Cook. I'm an occupational therapist. I started doing home modifications in 2006. The reason I started was I was a single mom with 3 kids and I wanted to travel and I needed some money. So I just started looking for businesses. I'm a competitive sailor, and one of the guys that crewed on the boat I was sailing on was a builder, and he was renting wheelchair ramps, and there's a lot of money in renting wheelchair ramps. He told me that if I could bring in bring him any business, he'd give me 25% of the take on anything I brought in. And at the time, I was like, well, hey, I know loads of handicapped people, and he does ramps. This will be easy. And so I just started like looking into what he had going on and who he was serving. He was serving auto for the state of Michigan, and so I just started. But he wasn't pursuing any of the case managers. They just had sort of heard about him. So I started pursuing case managers and found out who was paying for ramps and got a contract, and it just sort of grew from there. He didn't want a partner. The name of his business was Men with Power Tools. He didn't want a partner, so I just started Functional Homes, and then he moved to Hawaii, and then I just started. I ended up. I still needed to do the wheelchair ramps because I had a contract, but I didn't have a contractor. So I called Aluma Ramp. That's where he got his ramps from, and asked him. Told him what my situation was, and said I need someone to install ramps. So they gave me 4 names, and I called the 4 guys, and one of them I met with. His name was John, and there were 2 Johns, and the first one I met with was kind of a Greek. He had his hair all slicked back and was wearing these big chains and was a little condescending to me and sort of a jerk. And he actually gave me a stomach ache, and I remember 2 hours after that I still felt ill from meeting with him. And then I got a call from John Asmus, who who laid down the law with me and told me if we're going to work together, everything's going to be on the table and honest, and you know was really the opposite of the first John. So then the second John, John Asmus, he was my mentor. He taught me a lot about accessibility. He'd been doing it for years, and he was a great businessman. And I'm so grateful to him. In fact, we need to have him on here just to kind of talk to us. Maybe we'll talk and see if we can pull him in on grab bars or something like that. So that's how I got started, and it just sort of grew from there. The best ways that I find to make money with the OT or a COTA license, if you're specializing in home mods, are consultations and evaluations. Going in and talking, going through the home, looking at the client, and doing the evaluation or the consultation. Project coordination, and by that I mean working with the builders, making sure that there's always, when you start a construction project, there's always a lot of questions in the beginning, and you need to go over with the builder exactly what needs to be done accessibility wise, but also coordinating with the builder and the homeowners. A lot of times the builders like working with me because I deal with the homeowners and let them get their work done. And plus, they don't have to guess anything about accessibility. I'll take care of that for them. Another way to make money is being the builder. That's what I am with Functional Homes. I have a builder's license. Before that, I had a joint venture, so I could be the builder without having the license. But that's really good money for me. Another way to make money, educating others, being paid for presentations and workshops. I know AOTA's looking for, they always seem to have people that they're paying for that. Be an expert witness. I've done that a few times. That's good money. I charge $160 an hour. So for the expert witness, you have to put together sort of a resume. They call it a curriculum vitae or a CV, and you put down your experience, what your certifications were. I put in every single workshop I ever went to, but that's a little nerve-wracking, but it's fun. Another way, and this is how the other Coda Louie's been doing it, is designing spaces. Going through and working with we put together our designs and then give them to the builders. But I like to have the builders working on that with us too, because sometimes there's construction restrictions. Uh, Being the OT for someone and then working with their builder and just charging them for your consult time. That's working with the builders. Another way is selling products. We sell adaptive equipment products or specialty projects for jobs. For instance, if I'm not the builder, even if I am the builder, a lot of times I have the guys supply everything, and then I'll supply. I've got distributorships for the showers and the grab bars and the adaptive equipment. So I'll supply all of that. And I also supply the flooring a lot of times, just because it's got to be a specific flooring. So I supply that and I mark all that up. So that way I get, that's another stream of income. Um, Assisted living and hospital design, I haven't done any of that, but I know there are people out there who are doing that. I would actually like to look into that. I don't really know who you connect with to do that. I would assume your local CMH or community mental health. I have ARP Home Fit in here. There's no money in ARP Home Fit, but it builds awareness for occupational therapists. And I know, like, I think all the home fits are different. The one here in Michigan will allow you to, when you go to do the home fit presentation, bring your own cards and brochures and set them out. So I've done that before, but I know not all of them will let you do that, because somebody was talking about it at the AOTA conference, I think last year, and the person who was doing the presentation said you couldn't do that. But when I asked in Michigan, they said I could, so I did that. Another way to make money is adaptive gardening, vertical walls, raised planter beds. I know there's somebody who was doing some of that was that's in the group, in the HMOTA group. Sensory environments for autism, that's a big one. There's a lot of money in autism, especially in the state of Michigan. That's if you have a developmental disability and you have autism, there's a lot of money they set aside just for people with families for children with autism. I know in Pennsylvania, if your family member has autism, you qualify for up to $20,000 worth of home modifications. I had a builder in Pennsylvania call me and talk to me about that. I'm sure that's true other places, but I don't know where. And Debbie writes, the lady at AOTA recommended giving 3 names during the home fit presentation, but the list can include your name, but it has to do 2 other names, I guess. That way you're not marketing yourself during the presentation. Thank you, Debbie. Recreational facilities is another way to make money as far as making them accessible. Wheelchair vacations, I think, would be awesome. One of the guys who does some work for me, he's in a wheelchair full time, and he always gets bummed out in the summer because his family wants to go on vacation, and he can go, but a lot of times he gets stuck in the house, and he's not an indoor guy. So wheelchair vacations is something I really hope catches on. And I keep thinking I need to set something up for my area because we're in a touristy area. The other thing is developing products. And that's one thing I've done a little bit. I had something called a water widget I was selling for a while, and it was just this thing you put on handheld showers, and then there was a like a metal landing pad, and so the water widget, which went on the handheld shower, had magnets in it. So no matter how you did it, um, no matter how you presented the handheld shower to the landing pad, it would always stick. And so I was selling those for like $150 a piece. I sold out of those and just never made any more. The other thing we did was wheelchair cleaning stations, and that was pretty interesting. We should actually be marketing those better when we're not. There's so many other things to do. So the best way to get paid, the very best way, and they say this with marketing, either you fill a need, there's it's either pain or it's pleasure that it brings. What I find with home modifications, they talk a lot about aging in place and getting people to plan. I don't see people doing that as much as they should, unless they already have a progressive illness and they're thinking about it. Thank you, Sue. I have so anyway, I'm sorry about that. So they have so I always try to find people with a genuine need, and I never did much as far as aging in place until last winter when some people got my names in different hospitals, and they called me because they needed to get their mothers out of the hospital, and they had nowhere to go. So they had a pain, they had a genuine need. They didn't think twice about calling me in, they didn't think twice about paying me. And not only did I get paid for the evaluation, but we also did the home modifications, and we made some money off of that as well. Um, Another great way to get paid is have a builder work for you. I usually add 25 to 30% to every builder's bill. Sometimes if I think the builder, if their bid is low, I'll double it even. You don't have to be the cheapest, but you should be the best. And sell your business, sell on your skills. I highly do not recommend being a OT consult for a builder where he pays you. The problem with that, and I had a big long talk with Marnie Renda one time back in the day because that's what she was doing. And the problem she had, and I heard this from several other people, is that when you do that, you build up their business, so the builder becomes, their business becomes the home accessibility business in town, and that you consult with them until they feel that they know exactly what to do, and then they don't call on the OT anymore, they cut the OT out. I've seen that quite a bit, and I think part of it's psychological too, because if the builder has to pay you, he's looking at you as an expense. If you are paying the builder, he's looking at you as a source of income, and they're going to stay with you longer, and they're going to, try to, they're going to want to work together because they're going to see you as an asset and not a liability. Another way to get paid, recommend and sell adaptive equipment. Um, a lot of times we recommend the equipment and then the DME guys come in and make the money off our recommendations. If we're recommending them, we should be selling it. According to the AOTA ethical guidelines, anything we do, we have to do in what's best for the patient. There's nothing in there that says we cannot recommend and sell adaptive equipment. Another nice way to get paid is to work for agencies or people who have money to be paid for services. We've done a lot of research lately in the Medicaid waiver, as far as Medicaid waivers go. Quite a few people in the group have been scooping up the Medicaid waivers, which is because you have a contract, so you have consistent money coming in. And that money you can use to build your business and hire other OTs and do what you need to do. I was going for the Medicaid waiver in our county because it came open, but the OT who had the contract before decided to keep it. So I don't know. So I didn't get it this year, but I guess in 2018 she's gonna retire. So I'm gonna try it again then.
There's only one?
There's one OT. I guess she's got her own business, and she she was supposed to be doing the home mods, but it was more than home mods. It was also, evaluations and, working with, what is it called? Adult foster care staff as far as, programs for their clients. She was doing some of the home modifications, but they weren't working out very well, and I think that's why she was quitting. And then we started doing the home mods, Functional Homes did. So all of a sudden, all these jobs started moving, and I kind of wonder if that might not be why she decided, part of the reason she decided to stay, because it was a whole lot easier, I think, than trying to work with multiple builders. I know she was having problems with that. There's a huge labor shortage in Michigan, and that makes it hard. Um, on here, when I wrote this in 2015, I hadn't done any homeowners. I haven't worked for private pay. I've done a lot of private pay jobs since then. Um, and on here, I wrote homeowners seem to want a free evaluation. I think that's true. I just tell them up front, I can talk to you on the phone, but if you want me to come over to do a home evaluation and tell you, give you a write-up and tell you exactly what needs to be done, I usually charge between $250 and $300, and that's just for the evaluation. Designs are more. Social agencies, for some reason, they don't seem to have the money for OT evaluations, but they'll pay for the actual remodeling and construction. Um, that's what I have found until recently. It seems as though a lot of, like, for instance, CMH and the Medicaid waivers, they're finding that there's been some really difficult issues with not having the OTs involved in the remodeling and the construction not being done right. So it seems like the social agencies are more accepting of having the OTs. That said, we all need to advocate at state and federal levels for occupational therapists to be involved in home modifications. I don't do anything for Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance because they don't reimburse directly for home accessibility evaluations, as far as I know. So that's what I stay away from. Um, so for business models, so if you're going to start a business, you need to decide what your vision is. I know a lot of people just want to do the consultations and the home evaluations. I think that would be a viable business if you could get a Medicaid waiver where you're being paid to do the evaluation, the design, to oversee the builder, and then to do the follow-up. I think if you're just working with a private pay person, it might be hard to get paid to just oversee the job and be a project manager. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I see. From the people I've spoken to that are just doing the OT consultations and home evaluations, it's a nice way to get a little extra money, but it's not a way to make it so you don't have to work a full-time job. You still have to have money coming in. It's not it doesn't seem to be a good way to just a good income stream. It's a small one, but it's not a big one. And really, if you're going to do this business, you got to decide, do you want it to be a part-time business just for a little extra money, or do you want it to grow into something that can really take care of you? Occupational therapy obviously is a really good way to have some money coming in as well. For that, you would have to do some billing, I would think, with medical insurance companies. I don't do that, so I can't speak on that. Construction and remodeling and design, I should have in there too, of homes. For me, that's where I make most of my money. I think it's a lot of fun. Other than sometimes it's hard to find the labor that you need, but that's really a good way to make money doing home modifications. And for something like this, I don't do sometimes I'll do the redesigns if it's a bathroom. I do the bathroom redesigns. But as far as like additions, I've done addition designs too. But I work with architects and draftsmen and designers because that's not what I'm good at. I'm an OT. I'm not a designer. So a lot of times I'll do like a basic design of what I have in mind and then give it over to them and they'll polish it and make it beautiful and make it work. And the nice thing too, for instance, like architects know what they're doing. They're crazy expensive, but I was competing for a design for this to do a design for an addition, and I got the design all set up, and then I handed it over to my architect. Just paid him like $500 or something like that, and he redesigned it based on my design. But the way he did it, he knows about building more than I do, and so the way he redesigned it, it cut $100,000 off the cost of the home because of where he put the elevator and how he set it up with the concrete. I'm not exactly sure how he did it, but just the redesign based on, the structural things that needed to be done. We got the job because of him. Design accessible spaces. That's a great business model. A lot of fun to do. We can do a little bit, but really, unless you're trained, it's good to have a designer. And then selling adaptive equipment. That's excellent money, especially since people don't know a whole lot about what's out there. But I do want to say, if you're going to do any remodeling or recommending of equipment or anything like that, please try to make it so it's beautiful. The sinks, they have to be 7 inches or less, plumbed at the back. There's some pretty ones, and then there's some hospital-looking ones. Try to get the nice-looking ones, just because that does nothing but promote your business if people walk in and are struck by how beautiful it is, as well as functional. I wrote this.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Excuse me, I was going to say, when you're making the list of all those areas on the first part about adding Alzheimer's or neuro diseases, because that seems to be a big new thing that you've mentioned, and there's more stuff in the literature.
Yeah.
So that's as another, besides autism or something, but adult with Alzheimer's or some other, besides all the other chronic issues.
And that seems to be something that people are really, that little niche within this niche really seems to be taking off. I find I've heard a lot about that. Sue said she's doing a presentation after this on home modifications for dementia to the dementia support group. Sue, if you would present that to our group as well, that would be wonderful, because we all need to learn.
But Karen, last time you had said a couple of ideas about how people with Alzheimer's living at home tended to look down. So if you put those locks way at the top, they wouldn't necessarily think, "Oh, that's how I'm going to get out because I don't look up."
Yeah,
that was one of the things you said.
Yeah, for Alzheimer's, I just heard I heard this this talk about it, and I think I even posted it in AIM Big. But they don't look down, so they don't tend to look up, so put the locks high, and they think there's something wrong with the door. And then also, have contrast, which is pretty obvious, it seems like. But they talk about toilets. There's not a big contrast. They're white. A lot of times the walls are white. So then, like, a garbage can will be red or whatever color. So people will use the garbage can as the toilet because they don't see the toilet. Sue says painting the doors same color as the walls. Reverse contrast to hide the door. I mean, there's just, Sue, we so need you to do your lecture for us. So anyway, there's a lot of needs. Basically, I think it's best to choose where you want to go as far as how you want to structure this. I say these are the payers that I know of: workman's comp and medical case managers. That's good for everybody. Workman's comp, I do quite a bit for workman's comp, and it's not even anything I've pursued. It's just some workman's comp agency out of Ohio knows of me, and so they send me all their work. I don't even know anybody in Michigan, but I still get quite a bit of work from this company out of Ohio. So the way you find workman's comp, this company found me, but there's workman's comp attorneys and workman's comp insurance, and connect with them. that's a great stream of income that all over the United States is available. In Michigan, we have auto no fault and medical case managers. That's my bread and butter. That's where I get most of my business. There's also attorneys for workman's comp, personal injury, life planners. You got to do the spend down before you can get Medicaid. Nobody wants to go into a home, so home modification is a big part of that. Um, the VA, I don't know a whole lot about the VA, but I know that there are people in Michigan who are occupational therapists who are getting paid to go out and do home evaluations for the VA. Medicaid waiver program, there's tons of um, potential there. For anybody who hasn't been tuned into the last couple months, we did a whole lot with the Medicaid waiver program where you sign up for it. Um, there are a few different members who got Medicaid waiver contracts where they're getting paid to go out and do the evaluation, do the designs, um, work with the put together the bid packages for the builders, oversee the builders, provide equipment, and then go in afterwards and make sure and do training with the people that the modifications were done for. They're charging between $140 and $180 an hour to do this. So Medicaid waivers are a great way. I can't wait to get the Medicaid waiver in my area. And actually, since in my area it's not available, I'm planning on trying to grab one that's up in a county above mine because this is something it's just a great way to go. There's money there, and they need us. They need us. In my area, a builder was doing it for a long time as far as doing all the design. He was taking the OT evaluation, he was doing the designs, he was supposed to do bid packages, and he wasn't doing them. So Functional Homes, my building company, got that part of the job. Although we're not getting paid for doing the bid packages because we're not doing them, we're just doing all the jobs, which is nice because that's good money for us. And it's keeping my guys busy, and I need to keep them busy or they'll go find something else to do. So, if you're gonna do a company, you need to decide what's your vision. Who are your clients? Pick a client, pick where you want to go, and pursue that because every piece of marketing you do needs to be specifically tailored for whatever your client is. I have case manager brochures and I have end user brochures, and I need to make some attorney brochures because I'll tell you what, I've done a lot of work for attorneys and there's really good money in that. Not only as the expert witness, but as the OT doing the evaluation. And then for my construction company, I love that. Jill says, when filling out Medicaid waiver application, do you specify a home modification or only specify occupational therapy as service provided? I know stating home modification requires additional certification documents. I would put home modification and occupational therapist. I don't find that you do have to put in extra documents for home modifications, and I don't know if anybody else has. I've got quite a few, but I just sort of put that in to back me up. But before, nobody's ever asked me for additional documents for home mods. Has anybody else come across that?
No.
No? Yeah, no, I haven't seen that at all. So when you're working, and there's some people that are here tonight who I've seen a lot of, and I know some of them have their businesses going, and some are just still waiting to pull the trigger. But figure out who you want to go to, who you want to work with. And I picked auto because that was the deepest pockets, and I just feel like I'm in business to make money, and because I like it, but mostly to make money. So, choose the deep pockets, which in my mind would be the Medicaid waiver, workman's comp, or attorneys, maybe not even in that order. And then, what do you want to spend your time doing? evaluations, designs, working with the construction. Sue writes area agency on aging. That's always good. Actually, the area agency on aging is in our county. We get a lot of construction work out of. We don't get much as far as OT work. And then what geographical area do you want to cover? I chose the whole state of Michigan, which has been a really difficult way to do it, but it's worked for us, and it's brought a lot of money in the door, which is what I wanted a business for. And then if you're gonna, regardless of whether you're in a consultation role model or if you're in a construction model, you need a builder. And the best way to get a builder is get the jobs. You get a job, then find a builder to do them. I end up doing that quite a bit. And the best way to get builders, ask friends for recommendations. I get on Angie's list. I check the Better Business Bureau. And a lot of times I call the local building inspector and ask them for a builder to do something specific. Because there's some builders that like little things like, grab bars and wheelchair ramps, and there's some that only want to do additions. There's so many different kinds of builders. So I always tell the building inspector, I need a builder to help me make this home wheelchair accessible. I need someone who's honest and does good work. Who would you recommend? I don't tell them a lot about me. I tell them what I need. And the fact that there's a wheelchair person involved, a lot of times you get their sympathy, and they'll tell you. Sometimes they won't tell you. They're not supposed to. Never ask the receptionist, though. I've never had a receptionist ever tell me. So you ask to talk with the building inspector and then take it from there. I've also gone to local kitchen and bath shops to ask for recommendations. Most of the time, the guys doing most of what I do, it seems like, are bathrooms anyway. But it's people who work for the kitchen and bath shops tend to be more the finish carpenters, and those are the guys who have the eye for detail, and they are, I find, the ones who do the best work. The other thing you can do is CAPS has a directory of builders. You can get in there and see if you can find someone, because if someone has gone to the effort of getting their CAPS certification, then they're interested in accessible building, and they're interested in bettering themselves, I always feel like. So it's probably not you probably won't get a hillbilly. And I say hillbilly, when I say that, it just means some of the guys just do shoddy work, and you don't want to work with them. It's just more trouble than it's worth. So if you're going to contract with a builder, you got to find out what the rules are in your state. Do you need a builder's license? For me, I needed a builder's license, so I contacted an attorney, got a joint venture agreement, so that way I could do the building without me actually having the builder's license. Every single job I did, I used the builder's license of the builder. And then make sure it's a builder you can trust and have a good relationship with. If you're talking to a builder and he doesn't come across as being trustworthy, or just there's something you don't like or don't feel comfortable with, trust your gut. The nice thing about having your own business is you can work with who you choose. For instance, I had a builder, every single time I got off the phone with him, I was in a bad mood. And so I decided I'm not working with him anymore. I don't need that. And, it was really nice to just be able to cut him out. And that's one thing, it's your business. Make it your business and make it the way you want, because you're going to spend a ton of time working on it. So where do you start? OTs doing home health, I hear, have a lot of work, especially for builders. I don't know if they'll throw over the big home evaluations. I haven't had any OTs doing home health ask me to do a home evaluation, but I know that they like having builders to refer to. Case managers, for me, is the way to go. They usually know what's going on as far as funding. They know the families, and they can work. They're a really good liaison between me and the families and the payers. So that case managers are my favorite. Plus, they tend to be very caring people, I find, which is the nature of their jobs. And just some case managers have really become good friends of mine just because they're just really good people. Attorneys are a really good source of income. Attorneys, a lot of times attorneys have a lot of money to play with. And the other thing is, if I ever have trouble getting paid and the person has an attorney on that's working for them, it works out really well because a lot of times I'll just tell the attorney this insurance company's not paying me. To which the attorney says, "Oh, wonderful, send me the bill." So what they do is they get me paid and they tack on a little bit for themselves. So it works out really well for everyone. Well, for me and the attorney anyway. So what do you need to get started? Well, you need to decide what your vision is for your company. You know, do you want to do the consultations? Do you want to do the adaptive equipment? Do you want to do the construction? I think construction, I mean, the more streams of income you have, the better it's gonna go. Felice, or the more money you're gonna make. Felice asks which kind of attorneys, workman's auto injury attorneys, and that doesn't even matter what state that's in. Home workman's comp attorneys, life planning attorneys, life planners for the elderly, and also personal injury attorneys. I've done quite a bit for personal injury or medical malpractice. I've done a lot for medical malpractice too. That's the company out of Ohio does medical malpractice. So I've done quite a bit with them. But you need, in order to really make your business go, you need your business set up. Whether it's you need to have your business, it needs to have a name, needs to have. It would be nice if it had a logo, but it's not entirely necessary when you first start. You do need a checking account though. So to market, you need brochures, cards, postcards, a letter of introduction, which I've used. I use that with the attorney. Debbie asks, you work for the whole state of, yeah, I have the entire state of Michigan that I service. It's predominantly for auto, and I don't do it all myself. I have OTs that work for me, and then I also have designers and architects and builders. Yeah, and Sue says you need a business license to open a checking account in the business name. So let's just jump over here real quick. I think this is where I had it. Yeah. So there's different businesses, and Sue, I actually thought about asking your husband if he could help with this since he's an accountant, but I realize it's tax season, so it's probably not a good time for him. There's a few different ways to structure your business. When I started my business, it was a sole proprietorship. For a sole proprietorship, all you need to do to open your business is your social security number, and it says here you don't have to have a doing business as registration, but you can't open a checking account unless you get your DBA for your business. DBA is just doing business as. So you go into the I think it's the county clerk. You tell them you want to do a DBA for your business. You should do a search for your business first and see if there's anything that comes up. Sue says you need a unified business identifier. What I did in the state of Michigan, all I needed to do was do a search, make sure nobody had my business, and then my business name, and then I just went down to the county clerk with my driver's license, filled out a DBA form, gave them $10, and then I had my business was born. Then I just went over to the bank, gave them my DBA and my driver's license, and opened a checking account, which worked out really well. And then Sue says this should be state and then city. She's the sole proprietor in Washington. Yeah. So another thing you can do, another business structure is is a partnership where there's two people filling out the DBA. I was told not to do a partnership by a friend of mine who said it's like getting married to someone and to be very careful. Sue wrote, fees are way more than $10 now. Actually, I just redid my DBA for functional homes. just for the county level because I have Functional Homes Inc. and Functional Homes, and it still was $10 in Michigan. So sometimes it pays to be in a little state, but obviously it's more than that. I don't know how much you paid to, but it's obviously more than $10. Another choice is a limited liability corporation, an LLC. I've noticed a lot of people in our group do LLCs. The nice thing about LLCs that you don't have with a sole proprietorship is you have personal protection for business operations like lawsuits. You can reserve the business name and create a formal brand, and it's a good way to document a partnership. Uh, but LLCs don't save you taxes. You get self-employment tax with the LLC. And sometimes there's additional operational costs or high filing fees or taxes for an LLC. When I decided what I was going to do, I went to an accountant, met with him, told him, what it was I wanted to do. It was actually a woman, told her what I wanted to do, and she recommended that I become an S Corp. Sue writes, it's $95 for the state and $65 for the county or city for a DBA. Wow. Yeah. 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 Michigan's got you might want to move to Michigan for that. But the three primary reasons for LLC: limited liability with rental property, which would be fun to do wheelchair accessible rental property. Liability protection that you can, and then you can convert into an S corp later. And then it's advantageous for partnerships. Now again, I have an S corp because that's what was recommended to me. And the reason I got it, according to my accountant, was the best tax-wise, the best way to go. It was I applied for the S corporation myself. I just did it over a weekend. The first, I've got three S corps: Functional Homes, Barrier-Free Occupational Therapy, and Essential Luxuries. Functional Homes was the first one I applied for. It took me forever. And then the other two I applied for at the same time, and it was a whole lot easier. So that might be something that we all need to do together. If anybody's interested, we could do a workshop on, applying for a corporation license. Now, the two major reasons for an S corp is the shareholders or officers of the S corp, which in my case is me, aren't liable for corporate debts and liabilities, and your share of the S corp's income will not be subject to self-employment tax. So you get enough taxes. I feel like I'm taxed enough doing the S corp, but to have the self-employment tax, to have that added on top just would not be a good idea for me. But again, really talk to an accountant or an attorney and find out, what would be the best for you based on what you want to do with your business. I think the other thing that my accountant had asked me when we were trying to figure out what to do is, she said, "Do you want people working for you?" And I said, "Yes, I do." So that was the other reason. Now that I've got my own company, most of everybody who works for me is a subcontractor, whether it's a subcontracted OT, a subcontracted builder, or I have a virtual secretary even. That way I don't have to worry about workman's comp or any of the other things you have to worry about when you are paying your own employees. But the problem with that, especially with the builders, they get busy and they're just subcontractors. They can tell you, "I'm busy, I can't do it right now," and that's never good. So what I was thinking, I don't know what these other slides are. Well, this is for quotas. They get hung up on not being allowed to do the evaluation. It's got to be done by an OT. Quotas can do assessments, but not evaluations. And, some people call themselves an environmental assessment specialist. They cover the inside and the outside. So, and I'll let you guys just read this slide. CODAs assist by implementing the assessments. They can now see, these are things I'm not exactly sure of. Can they assess the home or the individual? They can assess them. They cannot evaluate them. You can market the CAPS as a specialist or market services and build relationships with OTs who can't make it to the home. I know somebody that was doing that. The OTs can build an evaluation off a CODA assessment, and the OT and the CODA are equally responsible for implementing the plan. And I got that, like I said, guidelines for supervision and responsibilities during the delivery of OT services from AJOT. So does anybody have any questions? I don't. I want to make sure I'm supplying you with, what you're interested in coming, why you came here. I can show you some projects that I've done, just to give you an idea of, how you can use this. Ashley says, for insurance, would I have to have an OT sign off on evals and assessments? Yes, Ashley, you would. I believe. Actually, I know if it's insurance, you have to have an OT, just like you typically do in a regular job. But I don't do a lot of insurance work. But I know that for CODAs to bill, they have to be under OT supervision.
Also, I just recently took the CAPS course, and they were talking about getting sign off on HIPAA so that we can have access to their medical records.
Mm-hmm.
Is it, do you by chance know, does a CODA qualify to get that sign off, or does it have to be an OT?
I don't know.
Okay.
The CODA qualifies. Anyone can do a sign off on that. Even secretaries in my rehab practice do that.
Okay, thank you.
So, is there anything anybody wants to talk about in particular? Because one of the, go ahead.
I was going to say I went to that 10 home modifications your patients request, and I just was bringing that up because I thought it was a little bit interesting as to what these 10 ideas were.
Yeah, what are?
Okay, I'll tell you. And so this was presented by two CAPS people who've had this home this business for a while. So I've been trying to get a hold of them to say I would be happy to work with you, but I don't know if they're ignoring me or fearful or whatever, but they haven't returned my call. So anyhow, okay, so they had it listed. I'm going to just read it the way they did it. The 10th one was, it's 1 to 10, and the 10th was the least asked for. So, proper lighting, platform lifts, handrails, ramps, and all different kind of ramps, including what they call threshold ramps, which I just call the thresholds. Number 5 was doorways, including the offset hinges and the lever handles. 4 was stair lifts. 3 was grab bars. 2 was toilets. And they were talking about the bidet seats. And number 1 was altogether anything about bathrooms. So nothing so new to us, but it was just enough for them to make this presentation.
It's interesting.
But I'm thinking, yeah, the bidet seat to me is a really interesting idea that we certainly don't use very much here in the U.S. Seems to me, because you save a lot of paper and a lot of reaching, and it just sort of depends on if you install one, if you get the kind that is added to the toilet or is its own unit. So a lot of different discussion about that. And their idea about make a walk-in shower as opposed to any of those walk-in tubs with the door, and a few scare stories that they had. And two other things. They had a house that looked like a puzzle. So this is kind of like a little bit of a marketing technique, but how home modifications was one big piece of the puzzle. And, you know, in addition to mobility, transportation, home care, medication adjustment, doctor follow-up, DME. So, like, really stressing that part of the whole puzzle, I think, is a good idea. And the other thing that I thought was very cute saying from Dr. Seuss, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So this is from Dr. Seuss the Lorax, so I don't know if anybody else knows this saying, but I thought that was kind of good too. So as a good, you know, pro, we're in this because we know why and we're going to help fix it.
Yeah.
So that was the general 10 recommendations, you know, so nothing particularly gigantically new to us, I don't think. Just thought an interesting review.
That is interesting. Could you say that saying again real quick? I was reading.
Right. It's one of those you have to look at it a few times. Okay. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not.
Ah. Thank you.
Dr. Seuss from the Lorax.
I love that. So, Debbie writes, I've been told there are a lot of toilets for including heaters because of sensory include. I've been told there is a lot available for toilets, including heaters, because of sensory and temperature regulation problems with spinal cords, etc. I don't really understand what you mean by that, Deb.
Are you talking about the side, the parts that are included with the bidet? Because they include heaters and, you know, you can adjust that. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, she said when we were talking about toilets earlier. I did a bunch of research on bidets, and we should probably like let's do a bathroom presentation because there's so much to them.
Yeah.
Let's just plan on that.
Isn't there something coming up in one of these upcoming meetings about bathrooms?
Well, next Monday is Liz Stryger from Healthcraft. They do the grab bars that are pretty. And then after that, the next week is Scott Blakely from Grab Accessories, who also does cool grab bars. But I think next week or the following week, we also need to just talk about grab bar placement, the best place, the ins and outs of grab bars, so we all know exactly what we're doing with that. And Sue writes also for toilets, the lighted toilet seat for people with dementia at night, and contrast and color for toilet seats. That seems to be so huge. So, as far as an attorney, I talked to an attorney about setting up contracts because I wanted contracts with my builders because I wanted non-competes out there, which is very important. I run into this a lot where, a lot of times the case managers will ask to work with my builders and try to cut me out. I've had that happen before. I pay my builders for their bids whenever I can. If I do the OT evaluation, I get paid, they get paid. So a lot of times they don't want to work with the case managers directly because they won't get paid unless they get the job. But even if they don't feel that way, I have them sign the non-compete contracts. And so by having them sign the non-compete contracts, then I can take them to court if they take a job from a case manager or from one of my clients without me, which is incredibly important. I've had, more than once I've had an issue with some with things where the builder has called me and said they're trying to get me to just do this without you, or they have something else, and so that way they think they get a better deal or something, and that's not okay. Business is business, but you got to, not everybody's honest and ethical, but I think I try to only work with honest and ethical people, but you can never tell. It's nice to have things in paper. The other thing I like about having things on paper, with the builders or the OTs, is that way they know what I expect from them and I know what they expect from me. And it allows us to have more of a trust because it's not just something we said or something we imagine. It's something that we have in writing. And I highly recommend it. It makes it so I can trust the guys more and give them a whole lot more information than I would otherwise be comfortable doing. And I can't always meet with people. I have to leave that to the builders or the OTs. And so I need something so I can feel comfortable doing that. Um, the best way to get experience with home modification, implementation, and installation is to go out and do it. There's a lot of really good courses out there. The best one I've taken, and please everybody everybody should give feedback on this. I think the best one is the University of Southern California Home Modifications Executive Certificate course. I learned a lot from that. The other thing is you've got everybody in this group. I've been doing these for a long time. I've got a lot of experience. Cindy has been doing them. Felice has done. I know Felice, you've been doing them, I assume. Jacqueline's got a lot of information on that. She's got a lot of skills. Carrie, and Cindy have done a lot. My hair. I mean, there's a lot of people. Sue Doyle has got loads and loads of research on homes. I mean, home evaluations, how to do falls. I just know you've been doing a lot on the home modification aspect. So, if you need help, here we are. If I will always be willing to help anybody with anything. I also have the homemod.net. That's where I put all my research. So, please, if go out, start working on this. And if you don't, when I come up to something like the first time I ever did an addition, then this case manager called me and said, "Can you do this addition?" I said, "Yeah, sure, we would love to." I had no idea what I was doing. I called the next thing I did was call an architect and find a builder who built additions in the area where I was at. So, I mean, I tend to take the job and then find the experts I need to do it and to do a great job. And, if you need help, there's always somebody out there who can help. Can't be limited on what you don't know how to do. Find the expert and have them do it, do it for you or do it with you. Right now, we've just got a lot going on. How do you get organized and keep the project information for each family separate? I'm not good with paper. I had everything and I was using Dropbox. Now I'm using Box. And I can't really show it to you because it's a breach of confidentiality because it's got all the names in it. Let me turn this off for a minute, the screen sharing. See if I can pull it up.
Duh.
So this is how I've got mine set up for Box. We've got the active projects, this is all the people we're working on their projects right now. I've got the inactive projects right here. The inactive projects are predominantly ones that we've already done and I'm just working on the billing on, and I just keep them in there till we get paid for them. Or they're ones we've done bids for and we're waiting to hear back if we have the bids. And then, we've also got things like business operations. This is one thing I have. These are the lists of people that I work, that I refer to: architects, attorneys, builders, case managers, dealers, dealerships that we have, that kind of thing. But this is what I use. I know that, but I'm not. I know what's his name? Damien uses Podio. There's lots of different things out there. Does anybody have anything they like to use to organize? I mean, it's project management, basically. I don't have a file cabinet because I'm not good with paper. I just keep everything. I've got this stuff here, and then I've got an external hard drive, and then for the box online, just the cloud, I've got the archived files because there's too many files to have on my computer. My hard drive's getting full. But that I think is one of the most challenging. In fact, I talked to a guy who has an entrepreneur operating system business, or he does a lot of lectures on that anyways. And I was talking to him about presenting to this group. So he and I are supposed to talk in the next couple weeks and get him figured out. Debbie says, is the cloud considered confidential for HIPAA requirements? We were using Dropbox, but that's not considered secure, so we quit using that. Most of the information I have is more on the homes, but yeah, I should probably. So the box is considered secure. Dropbox is not considered secure. So, but anything you do, make sure you look into it. Because I'm learning this too as we go along, or as I go along. Every time I need something, I got a whole lot more to learn, it seems like. But the other thing I really wanted to do today, is there anything else anybody would like to talk about? And I hope that this has been helpful.
Absolutely.
Now, I know everybody's at different stages with this. For me, one thing you got to do when you're creating your business is you got to get the name. And the name is incredibly important. Anybody who doesn't have a name for your business, please Google how to name a business and, do some research on it. I remember when I picked out the names for my businesses, Functional Homes was the first one. I spent a whole entire weekend. We had to drive my son to Kentucky. So it was me, my son, and my 3 daughters. And I sat in the back seat and wrote up every single word I could think of that had anything to do with home modifications. And then, boiled it all down and was asking everybody. And, Functional Homes is what it came. And so what it came up with. And then after that, I really did not have much of a logo. The one I had was just pathetic. And a friend of mine said, no, you need a logo. So he designed one for me that was pretty good. And then my husband said, then I got married. My husband said, oh no, you need a better logo than that. That's where we came up with Functional Homes. What you include in your brochure depends on if you're going to do an evaluation or if you're going to do the building part. I can show you, I think. Okay, just saying, let me check and I'll see if I've got a brochure in here. I don't think I have the latest one that we've been working on. But I try to on mine. I talk about the process, what an OT does, and the builders, and making homes accessible and beautiful. So here's mine, and I'm more than happy to share with anyone. This is, this is actually our old one. I like our new one that we're working on right now a whole lot better. But basically, This is who we are, functional homes. I like Escher. I wanted a picture that would catch somebody's eye. So I had to call the Escher Foundation and get permission to use this and pay them. I can't remember what I pay them for this. And then we wrote our mission, what universal design is, because I'm trying to differentiate myself from the other builders. So even down here, this is a standard builder. This is functional homes. And then it wrote what's the difference between universal and handicap accessible. And then a whole lot of stuff about builders, OTs, and working together. What my goal is, we're working on, like I said, we're working on our brochure right now, and it should be done. It should have been done today. I got to find out if the final got sent out today. But what I'd like to do is set it up. When we change the Aim Big website into a pay website, it'll be set up so some sections you can get to, but other sections are specifically for members. And then in the member section, there will be a brochure you can download and put your own information on. And there will also, I need to get a website template put together as well. Well, we're working on subgroups, or we've been talking about subgroups. I haven't had time to organize those. But once we get the subgroups going, it'd be nice to have the subgroups help get the websites going and also the brochures going. But of course, people are welcome to use mine. And this is for functional homes. I also need to put one together for barrier-free occupational therapy. I do have one for barrier-free OT. I'm not sure where it's at right now. I haven't run out of those yet. I'm not sure where the digital copy is. So let me pull up the PowerPoint. So one thing I was hoping we could do tonight, though, is for HMOTA, and I'm not sure what to call that. Is that HMOTA or HMOTA? I don't know how we want to make that work. Sean said, at some point, can I run a few names at you? Sean, you know what I think we should do? I don't know if people would be comfortable with it, because I don't, as far as creativity and trust goes, but I would love to talk to anyone about names, and we could even have a little name game sort of thing. But we've got the whole aimbig.net website set up, and that I was hoping people could use that to kind of run off other people as well. I got 14 emails today from people that are part of the group, and that's not uncommon. And I love talking to people, but I'm also running two businesses that are keeping me crazy busy. And I want to really promote this and really see everybody else work on it too, because I believe that we are not, our biggest competitors is not each other, it's the builders and it's the interior designers and everybody else who wants to do this. So I really want to help everyone grow and and show them how great OTs are, because as you all grow, then I grow too. But I don't always have time to return emails, and I'm doing the best I can. So if you send me an email and it takes me a while to get back, please forgive me. I'm just trying to, keep all the balls in the air, if you know what I mean. But that's why I'm hoping the Aim Big website can help, because that way people can talk to one another. So, but yeah, I love, names can be fun. It's a lot of work, but it can be fun, and I think it's a good idea to run it by the group. One thing I think is important, though, I like the Aim Big name that we had. That was the first one we asked the whole group to choose names, and that was the first one the whole group chose. And it was a cool name, except it didn't tell what our group did. And so it was really hard to market this group. And what I'd like to do is get a logo for this group so people can put the logo on their websites or on their brochures as another trust symbol, because trust symbols are so important, and it just sort of shows that that your company cares about continuing ed, like having the caps on there, and just another trust symbol. So but Aim Big, nobody knows what that is. Home Mod Occupational Therapy Alliance, that tells who we are, and that's easier for me as far as getting speakers too. So when you make your company, make sure people know what it is. Make sure it tells a little bit about what you're doing. For instance, the Carries, their name, Carries and Cindy, it's capability, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, which I think is really good. They spell it with the CAP capitalized. Or Felice is elder spaces. I mean, it tells what they are and what they're doing. And I, go ahead. Yeah, capable living. Thank you. That's what it is. But I think that's a really good name because it tells what they're, it gives you an idea of what they're doing. So when you're choosing your name, functional homes, I wanted people to know that's what I want to do is make homes functional. So, I think that's important. And the whole aim big, that I love that name, but it's just, it doesn't work for marketing. So that's why we did the HMOTA. And if anybody has any ideas whether we should call it HMOTA or HMOTA, please let me know because I'm kind of going back and forth with that. But the one thing we need to do so I thought maybe we could work together a little bit for the HMOTA one. But you got to choose your colors for whatever for your company as well. For functional homes, I chose blue and yellow. Yellow because it was optimistic and youthful, and it's supposed to grab attention. And then blue creates trust and security. So I thought, optimistic and youthful and trust and security, that just really resonated with me for functional homes. But for HMOTA, what colors should we do? We need some colors. Thank you, Sue. I'll send you, Sue's gonna run, but and this is on another note. I feel like I'm jumping all over here. Sorry about that. But one thing that I can't remember that Kathy brought up, and Kathy, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you on this, was she asked if she could get some certificate of attendance, a certificate of attendance for coming to these meetings, because for her CAPS designation, this would meet the continuing ed requirements. And so we talked about this at a meeting, and I don't think you were there, Kathy, but Sue Doyle is keeping attendance for us, and we'll be putting together the certificate of attendance certificates, so you have them for your CAPS license.
Big plus.
I know I'm so glad you brought that up, Kathy, and I'm so glad that Sue's pulling it all together. So thank you so much. So anyway, for HMOTA, since this is our group, does anybody have any ideas as far as what colors they would like to use? I kind of liked black and blue, actually, just because powerful and sleek, and for luxury products. I don't know. I kind of like that. And the blue for the trust. Although I know my husband in particular doesn't think those are very good colors.
I guess it depends on the shade.
Yeah, the shade of blue or the shade of black.
Okay, the shade of blue.
So I might send out a little poll and everybody and I'll send out this with it so people can choose the colors that they'd like. And then I'm also going to put together a few logos with Louie's help, I hope, and send those out and let everybody vote on those as well. I was thinking of something powerful too, Kathy, because I feel like I want this to represent OTs in home modifications. Jill says her colors are light teal and dark gray, and she loves them. And she's right, that's an interesting combination of blue and black. Black with white for the greatest contrast for the elderly. Nice, nice. They don't have white on here, but white's always good.
Maybe a darker gray and like a medium blue.
Yeah, because it still has the blue and black.
Yeah, because a lighter gray, I'm not sure if it's gonna look good. But black, it seems like it's too dark.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that one. Blue is good because it represents the CAPS logo. True, true. Little pink to add some feminine energy to home mod construction world. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I think a lot of who we will end up working with, at least who I work with, it's usually a mom or it's usually a daughter if it's for aging in place person, and it's a lot of times case managers, which are predominantly women. Most of the people I work with are women. Make the O a heart. Oh, I like that.
Oh, HMO.
We're gonna I'm gonna send out some polls. I like the blue and black together. I also like green because it's easier for the eye, but either needs, ooh, high contrast is, you're right. We got to make sure we have high contrast.
Maybe for the logo, do like an M home for an M,
Uh-huh.
like a symbol of the home, and maybe like a roof over the whole name, something like that, maybe.
That's a good idea. I'm going to write this down. Yeah, logo design is not my thing, but we've got Louis and I've got a few other, I've got a virtual assistant company that's got marketing as part of its package. So they should be able to do a website for me, brochures, and a logo. I haven't tapped into that yet. So everybody watch their mailboxes, and or it might be it, or we might just put it in the Aim Big website. I like red and yellow too, because a lot of times there is a lot of urgency. But everybody,
Karen, when you say uh,
well,
when you say Aim Big website, do you mean the new HMOTA Mighty
yeah,
Bell? Yeah,
yeah,
okay. Because I
it,
get confused.
it's HMOT. It still has the Aim. I've got.
Right.
I need to remap. It's. Let's see.
I think it's really a great way to communicate, and it's a great platform. I like it much more than Facebook. There's so many ways to like talk to each other, and because we do have different needs, like we need to, sometimes it's a chat, sometimes it's a project, sometimes it's an event, and I think it just allows for like so many different ways to do it.
Good. I'm glad to hear you say that because I've been trying. I feel like I want to make sure it works well for everyone before we really commit too much to it. I need, like I said, I have to put the new. I got to map the new name on here because it still comes up for Aim Big.
And I can see how it can be like a great portal for like collecting all kinds of resources and maybe like having a library there for all sorts of information for people and just kind of because like we all have a lot of resources and I think just organizing it in a way that's accessible, well, we're making things accessible for all of us, it's just like people will have easier time of finding something that they're looking for.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, because like having a collection is not enough. Like, it has to be like in an organized fashion too.
Yeah, it'll be nice too if when people can post and there'll be conversations going. I just saw this one,
Yeah.
Cosmo, and I'm excited to look at this. But yeah, it's nice where we can post this sort of thing. And that's the other reason why I feel like we should close this group up a bit
Mm.
because that way you don't, right now anybody can happen upon this website and see everything
Right.
we're talking about. And the same with the meetings. Some of the meetings, people talk about their businesses, and
Right.
I think that it's important that, those discussions are not posted for the whole world to read or listen to. We need to keep them amongst ourselves.
Yeah. Do you need any help like with like keeping it organized? And because I'll be happy to, like that's something that I would love to do, like that website and
Yeah,
like organizing the things that are going on,
I will
and
make,
maybe
I can make,
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
maybe updating people on like new things that we add, and they might have like we might have like suggestion, like section for everyone. Well, like just see we can develop it and do whatever we want with it, really.
Yeah, that would be wonderful because
Yeah,
I
because
know I've tried to
yeah,
set it up so that all the members can do whatever they want on it. Everything's enabled.
mhm,
So if you hit
yeah,
this little waffle, you should be able to do pretty much everything with this.
mhm,
I might sign up as somebody, I might sign up just as a member instead of the administrator, because if you can't do everything you want with it, then maybe I can set it up as you as an administrator, because
mhm.
I can't do all this myself.
I know, I know. I don't know how you're doing it already, but
Labor of love.
that's something I think I would just enjoy doing too.
Wonderful. Well, would you mind taking a look at go up to this little waffle and just sort of play with it? I've tried to
Mhm.
enable it so that all the members can make groups, all the members can make topics, all the members can do everything.
Right, yeah. Maybe like it might be a good idea to do it with another person just to kind of bounce off ideas of each other and as far as adding new things and like how to organize stuff. So
Yeah,
maybe if somebody else wants to do it with me, we can do that together.
it's really user friendly.
Yeah. Yeah, I did look around a little bit. Yeah, I really like it, I have to say.
Oh, good. Well, if I'm going to put the word out that we're looking for somebody else to help with the website.
Yeah.
And so hopefully we can pull at least one other person in. The other person who wants to work on this, and I need to get back to him, is Mark Hager. So
Okay.
if you'd be willing to work with Mark,
Sure, yeah.
I think he would like that, and he's excellent, so that'd be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Okay. So we'll let
Hmm.
that.
Did anybody listen to the Mark's this thing with the ticket? The what is it? The without borders? Something about the
Yes.
Yeah.
without borders? Something.
Summit, Ageless Summit or something.
Yeah, I listened
Yeah,
to
it's,
some of them
Thing.
yesterday.
yeah.
Yeah, I bought the pass though, so I can listen to today's whenever I feel like it.
Aging Without Borders. Yeah. Okay. I didn't start it yet, so I probably missed Saturday and Sunday. I guess I missed.
No, I think it started yesterday, the 26th.
Yesterday, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you
I
should.
didn't have
Oh,
time to listen to them, but I saved every single link for each speaker and their websites into my Evernote.
okay. Yeah,
Good.
that's good.
Go. I
For
listened
the
to the memory
future.
part. That was good.
Yeah.
And I got a couple emails from HMOTA members saying they wanted to make it, but they had to finish listening before the night was over when their links expired. So
Right. That's part of the so much going on thing.
yeah, exactly. Bethany says, I think it depends on who the HMOTA logo is being marketed to. It may determine if, oh, you're right. So, well, I'm going to be sending out, I'm going to be looking at the colors. I'll post this color chart on the Aim Big web or HMOTA website. And so anybody who has not gotten their business going, it's time to go. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of money in this, and it's a lot of fun. So you got nothing to lose. I mean, absolutely, there's nothing to lose, and there's everything to gain. So, you know, time to go. There's a top one of the there's topic and there's a group for starting new business, and I'm gonna post this in the color chart there, and then I'll look around and post some different logo makers. And you know, if you find some websites that are good for picking out names, post them, please. Everybody can post. There's everybody in the group can post. Just hit the waffle, go to post, and then just add a post. It's the simplest thing in the world. And then when you do your post, you can put in here what group it's going to be for. Here are the different groups. If there's not a group for your post, add a group if you want. Everybody can do that. I've got it set up so everyone can do that. Here's the different topics. You know, add something. If you don't see it, add it. This is for all of us. So it needs to be what we want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you all for coming. We got to get the names going and we got to get the colors going and we need to get the logos going. Um, I would love to talk about names if anybody starts putting their names together, and I'm sure a lot of other people would too. I mean, that's just plain fun. Um, and then I'm going to be sending out a poll probably for colors. And also, I'm going to be getting together with Louie as far as getting the like 3 or 4 different logos started, and then have everybody choose those as well because it's time to get that all in place. And then we'll probably switch this website over in the next month or two to the pay-based one so that people can just download brochures, get on with the templates for the websites, although we're going to need a group to work on that. And you know, really have some stuff that people can download, and that way some of these conversations that we have that are a little bit more proprietary, I would feel more comfortable if we could just put them here so the whole world can't access them.
Yeah.
So, but the meetings will probably always be open to everyone unless some of the members decide that that's not what they want to do. Because again, this is our group. It's up to us to make it whatever we want it to be. So, and then next week, like I said, we've got Healthcraft coming in. We're going to be talking about the AOTA conference, and we might have a presentation about installing grab bars and where to put them. Although I'm thinking maybe we need to do that the following week because we do need to nail down some things with the AOTA conference. So anybody who's going to be going to the AOTA conference, we need to organize that. We can do it on the website. That might be the best way to do it. So if you guys could get at, you know, anybody who's going, I wish I could go this year. I've already committed myself to my daughter though, because she's going to be graduating from high school, so we're going to be doing some fun stuff instead. But I will be missing you guys, and I wish I could go. So please check out the AOTA. There's stuff, you know, there's people going, there's people who live out there. You know, it's a great time to meet up and work on business and connect with each other. Thank you all for coming. I'm so glad we're all in this together.